Game 29, Leafs Lightning at home for the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight, 7:30 puck drop, and a jammed up Atlantic Division leaderboard just has no clarity to it at all. Provides another opportunity for the Toronto Maple Leafs to not just climb out of the basement of what was the Eastern Conference and obviously the Atlantic Division tied in together, but to start to find their way up the leaderboard into the top. The Tampa Bay Lightning, first place in the Atlantic Division, come in here tonight with 28 games played and 34 points on the season. Your Toronto Maple Leafs, who have had one of the worst starts, if not the worst start of the Auston Matthews era, probably the worst start actually since before when we were looking at this team trying to get Auston Matthews in the draft, comes in here with 28 games played and 30 points. Now, it's not to say that the Tampa Bay Lightning are blowing the world away with where they're at, games played versus point totals or points percentages or anything like that. If you want to see some amazing teams and some teams just dominating the schedule right now, take a look over at the Western Conference with the likes of the Colorado Avalanche, the Dallas Stars. I mean, even the Anaheim Ducks right now continue to rack up points. But the Maple Leafs now have an opportunity to close the gap on the top of the division with a 4-point game on the line here tonight against Tampa, taking 2 points away from the Lightning and adding 2 points to your own total. A win in regulation tonight could be huge. Now, that was the goal on Saturday night against the Montreal Canadiens, where you could have actually tied them in the standings had you won that one in regulation. But instead, you go to overtime, you actually end up losing, so they get 2, but you still walk away with 1. So positives there nonetheless. And the win streak that the Leafs had gone on before losing on Saturday night to the Montreal Canadiens also helps put them into some relevancy here. Again, not like any of this is just the greatest thing in the world to suggest that this team could be one of the greatest teams to ever play, but if you're trying to just make the playoffs, which I think that the powers that be at MLSC would have that at the top of their list right now, considering where you were at to start this season and the fact that there was conversations about True Living and Berube's jobs being on the line. Making the playoffs is probably a pretty good consolation for those in there right now. So, another opportunity tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs to gain ground on the Atlantic Division, put themselves closer and closer to the playoff conversation with a win tonight against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, for what we have for lines tonight, we're going to take a look over at Daily Faceoff, and today's game preview is a presentation, as always, of Bet365, but just a quick couple of notes to make here. Still no Joseph Woll. Craig Berube did say the other day that it seems, or they believe, that it's nothing serious, which I'll just be honest, as the skeptic that I am, and based on the injury reports we've gotten so far to start this season, I don't believe anything. I don't trust anything. Like, to me, that could mean Joseph Woll could be back as soon as this weekend. It could mean Joseph Woll won't be back until after the Olympics. Nobody knows. So I'm not even going to try to put a finger on it. But all we know is he's not out there right now. Dennis Hildeby gets the net here tonight against the Lightning. That's it. Akhtiamov backs up. That's all we know. So that's the goaltending situation for Toronto. The news that we did get in terms of guys returning from injuries here, or at least making their way back from injuries right now, Marshall Rifai and Chris Tanev did take the ice this morning at morning skate in normal jerseys. They were no longer wearing the non-contact. We do know Chris Tanev will be evaluated throughout the course of this week, and there will be a determination made about him. But the update there with Chris Tanev is he did return to the ice in a regular jersey. No more non-contact, and Marshall Rifai obviously returning here as well. And if he can play, if he can find a way into this lineup, it makes some things a little bit more interesting as you move forward and try to shape out and structure this roster, because obviously, you know, Troy Stecher deserves to stay. Tanev's going to be here. The conversation has mostly been about Brandon Carlo and what you do with him. Well, does Marshall Rifai making this team and finding a way to be an impactful piece every night start to change the conversation even more? So that's what we'll figure out as we get these guys coming back from injury. Quick note here as we go into the lines. Seems like there's no changes for tonight. You will see Scott Laughton is listed. He obviously did not skate this morning at morning skate, but it is believed that Matias Maccelli was a placeholder at morning skate, so that would mean all the lines stay the same. The biggest thing that I want to get to for today is going to be the power play, which we did see one change, but let's get on over to the daily face-off here and see what we have for lines. So first of all, Matthew Knies, Auston Matthews, Max Domi remains your first line. I want to see Auston Matthews be way more impactful and kind of start to show some of that takeover ability. It doesn't even have to be the 69 goal scorer Auston Matthews, but like you can't be 30 goal scorer Auston Matthews. You have to be somewhere in between if you're going to at least try to live up to that contract that he signed and take up the salary cap space that he's going to right now, because at this rate of production, from a goal scoring perspective, it's not good enough. And, I know there's a lot of people out there pointing fingers at Craig Berube's system. I know there's a lot of people trying to spin it positively right now and say, well, he's committed to the other side of the puck and he's doing those things well. You can be committed to the other side of the puck. You can also be hampered by Craig Berube's system. Those things are entirely fair, but it should not hamper you to this degree. Like, this is way too significant of a drop-off from a scoring perspective, and I think that, we've seen him over the last little while start to heat up a little bit, but it hasn't been at any point dominant. Like, it hasn't been, oh, here comes Auston Matthews. He's the most dangerous guy on the ice. He's the most dangerous guy in the world. Watch out. He's taking over this shift. He's going to win this game. He's going to score this goal. Like, it hasn't felt like that. At times, it's felt like, yeah, okay, he's done all the right things. He's winning battles. He's getting better. He's competing harder. And then all of a sudden, it's like, well, the goal scoring is still not there. That side of the puck has to get better. That side of the ice has to get better here right now, which is something I never thought I would say about Auston Matthews. Easton Cowan, John Tavares, William Nylander still listed as your second line, did skate together at morning skate. Quite frankly, I think this is the right decision. And for two parts. One, I think putting the third line back together of Joshua, Waugh, McMahon is the right decision. Two, I don't want to give up on Easton Cowan, and I don't want Berube to give up on Easton Cowan after two games that weren't the best. It's going to happen. You don't have your best night every night. Prime example would be William Nylander and Auston Matthews, who are currently still not showing their best games every single night. That's not necessarily a slight on them. It's just these are the best players on your team, and they don't have the best game every night. So I don't want to have it like a massive knock on Cowan that he had two games here after a string of really good ones where it was like, hey, those weren't your best games. Okay, take away minutes, confidence, bump you down the lineup. I don't want to see that. I want to get him another opportunity into your top six. Joshua, Waugh, McMahon, back together, right decision for me. That's what I want to see out of in terms of roster construction here tonight and the way that these guys are going to play and be put together. I got no issues with that. And then what you do see there is on your fourth line, Lorentz, Laughton, and Järnkrok go together. So the one change right now, obviously Scott Laughton playing, Nic Robertson coming out of the lineup, which there might be an element here of scratch and score. You didn't get going over the last little while. It's time for you to get that offensive production up. Maybe it's time for Nic Robertson to sit one out, come back in. That's what we're seeing listed as of right now. Obviously, we know with Berube and the Maple Leafs, things could change between now and the next hour. It could change between the next hour and warm-up. It could change between warm-up and puck drop. So that's what we're rolling with right now. One last note for me on the forwards. The only other thing I would say is Järnkrok in for Robertson is interesting because if I would move anybody in this lineup, it would be Robertson for Cowan, not McMahon for Cowan. I would move Cowan to that fourth line, not because I want to take away minutes, and I know I just talked about that, bumping him down the lineup, but because he found a lot of chemistry with Laughton and Lorentz in the preseason, and if you can get those guys back together and find that chemistry again, maybe it's a really impactful fourth line that you get. I don't think that there's anything wrong with playing kids in your bottom six, as long as they're just going to continue to get minutes and opportunities. Like, if he's playing 7-8 minutes, yeah, shut it down. But Craig Berube seems to have a willingness to roll the lines and play, if everybody's going, that is, and play your fourth line 12, 13 minutes, 14 minutes, maybe use Cowan on special teams. But right now, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. So that's what you get for your lines tonight. No real issue with Robertson coming out. He hasn't been the best, but I mean, I'm not in love with Calle Järnkrok personally. Your defensive pairings for tonight, you're going to get Ekman-Larsson and Rielly go together. No issues. Stetcher and McCabe back at it again. That's probably been your best pairing so far. I think Ekman-Larsson's been your best defenseman, but your best pairing, McCabe and Stetcher. And then down to your third pairing, Benoit and Mermis. The change here is Myers out, Mermis in. I think that's fair. I mean, the combination that we've been seeing right now of Benoit and Myers has been atrocious. We saw them in that last game against Montreal get hemmed in their zone for over 3 minutes. They were trapped on the ice together. It was just an absolute clusterfuck. They had no ability to break up the cycle. They had no ability to shut anything down that offensively that Montreal was doing. They couldn't break pucks out. They struggled off the rush. They struggled in transition. They struggled on set plays in the O-zone. Like, they struggled with everything. So it's time to break them up. I mean, again, we talked about these guys coming back. Rifai, Tanev, that's big pieces there because obviously you can start to move other guys around the lineup. OEL can jump to a different spot. Stetcher can stay in. Tanev can take a first line right defense pairing. He can be the guy to play with Morgan Rielly. You could put a guy like Rifai, if he plays well, down into your bottom pair. Like, you can find ways to maneuver things that maybe doesn't feature Benoit, Mermis, and Myers to the same degree, or at all, if things go perfectly. So it gives you a little bit more leeway, a little bit more options, those guys working their way back from injury. But let's get to what we've got for the power plays, because this is the one area of the Maple Leafs lineup that is driving me absolutely fucking nuts right now, to be quite frank with you. The first power play unit, you finally start to make changes here where it's like, okay, you're going to get... I thought it was the wrong decision. And again, like, you're trying to put a defenseman back there. I'm okay with that. I put OEL back there if it's me personally. That's what the team seemed to do on Saturday night. I would rather have Matthew Knies than Easton Cowan on that first unit. It's no knock to Easton Cowan or his abilities, but I think what you're looking for, if you're going to talk about where everybody's set up, you naturally get this build of OEL at the top, Matthews and Nylander on the flanks, which then puts John Tavares typically in the high slot, and then you're going to end up having Easton Cowan down in front of the net. If not, then you're going to put Easton Cowan in the bumper and John Tavares down in front of the net, which I think both of those options are less beneficial to you than putting Matthew Knies in front of the net. Like, I think that you're lacking right now somebody who could take away the goaltender's eyes. Like, John Tavares is a guy who can play the net front. He's good at it, but I think Knies provides more of that brute force. Like, you think about the Bruins power play that would put Chara in front of the net at times. Like, putting Matthew Knies in front, being a guy who can cause chaos, being a guy who can be a distraction, take up a physical battle with the defender in front of the net. He can take away the eyes. He can get tips. He can get rebounds. Like, that kind of stuff I think is really, really important. JT typically seems to find himself slouching off to the side, and not because he doesn't want to be in front, but I think that's because of what the power play demands of him when he's out there, is kind of becoming a guy who can facilitate from the side, kind of get out to the higher in the slot, and find himself for a shot or a backdoor tip-in kind of thing, and less so a guy who's like a distracting force in front. So to me, I'd rather have Knies out there, which then naturally, in my opinion, pushes Tavares to the bumper spot and then would take Cowan out, because you're not going to change the three other guys. So tonight they decide they're going to put Matthew Knies in for Easton Cowan. Well, it's like you finally start to piece together where you should be, and then you take one other step fucking backwards, and Morgan Rielly is back on the power play. Like, I'm sorry. I'm done with the Morgan Rielly power play and offensive experience. It's over. Like, I do not want to see this anymore. I do not want to see that guy run out on the power play again. It's not successful. It's never been successful. You haven't been able to find a way to piece things together. And yet, here you go again with Morgan Rielly getting another opportunity on the first power play. It makes no fucking sense. The power play can't find a way to get things going. And much like what you dealt with in the top forward lineups, where you would find like, okay, yeah, this guy's injured, this guy's sick, and then you get a bad period or a half a bad period out of a guy, and you'd smash the whole thing into a blender. That's back where you're at. OEL is the far better offensive player here right now for this blue line, for what the Leafs have defensively. And quite frankly, he's the better defenseman of the two of them. Like, he's better defensively. He's got a better stick. He's more physical. He's more defensively aware. He's playing way better than Morgan Rielly is right now. So what is the commitment to having Morgan Rielly on your power play? Like, why can Oliver Ekman-Larsson not stick on this power play unit? How is it him who's having the fingers pointed at him to be like, you're the guy who's got to go. You're the guy who's got to change. This is another decision from Marc Savard that seems to make zero fucking sense in a long list of decisions and a long list of issues for this power play over the last year and a bit here now that has just not been able to put anything together consistently. And here you go again, where it's like you finally are doing the right thing and you should just leave Ekman-Larsson back there, because if the worry is we're getting shelled defensively and we're giving up chances, sorry to burst your bubble, Morgan Rielly's not the fucking guy to be able to break it up. It's much more likely that Ekman-Larsson is going to be the guy to save your ass back there. So, again, another poor decision, I believe, here tonight on this power play, putting Morgan Rielly back in place of Ekman-Larsson. Like, I'm not trying to shit on Morgan Rielly here throughout all of this. I got no issue with the guy being on the second unit. It's just like you're looking at a guy that seems to scream the obvious power play choice in Ekman-Larsson, and you just can't wrap it around your fucking brain that you need to have that guy out there. And you finally, it's like, okay, well, this lineup with Ekman-Larsson, Cowan, Tavares, Nylander, Matthews didn't work, so we're going to change two of the pieces and put Knies and Rielly back and go back to what we've had before. That didn't work ever either. It seems to make no sense to me. Sorry for a little rant there. The power play is just driving me nuts right now. Your second power play unit for tonight: Nick Waugh, Max Domi, Bobby McMinn, Ekman-Larsson, and Easton Cowan. Again, no issues there. Quite honestly, when you look at this group and you look at who's going to go out together, if the first unit doesn't, I would suspect that the second unit will actually have a decent chance at having success. So, frustrating stuff. The lineup changes to note. Scott Laughton will play, despite not skating this morning. He's fine. Matias Maccelli was just a placeholder. He will not play yet again here. The one change you're going to see, Nic Robertson was skating as an extra. Calle Järnkrok comes in, and then on the defensive side, Phil Myers out, Dakota Mermis in. Your starting goaltenders here tonight: Dennis Hildeby will go for the Maple Leafs. His backup tonight, Arturs Aktiemov. Joseph Woll, still no announcement there. Nobody has seen or heard from Anthony Stolarz, so no idea on that front. And then when you look at the goaltending situation for Tampa tonight, it seems like we might get a Jonas Johansson sighting for the Lightning. It's unconfirmed right now as a per daily faceoff. We'll find out more within like the next half hour to hour as Tampa skates, but that seems to be what's expected for the Lightning here. With that, let's get to our best bet. Our best bet is a presentation of Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use promo code NATION. That's NATION, code NATION. NATION at Bet365. Must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. No sugarcoating this. We have stunk this season on the best bets. I've lost 16 in a row. Brings our total to 31 in a row. 17 in a row, sorry. It brings our total to 10, 31, and 1. We are down 3.9 units on the season. This has been the worst year, the worst stretch that I've had by far. Again, not to make excuses, but I think part of it for me was struggling with the Leafs going so up and down and being in such a slump there, and then kind of figuring things out and then falling off again, and you never knew what you were going to get from the team, the players, the lines, none of it. So made it a little bit difficult, and it kind of felt like we were taking shots in the dark, and we just kept losing, and we continue to lose. So let's try to change things up here tonight. Our best bet for tonight, we're going to look to the other side of the puck, and maybe that'll change the fortunes. And maybe if it loses, that's a positive sign for us here. But I think everybody will understand what I'm looking at and why I'm looking at it. So with that, let's head on over to the Bet365 site. Take a look here first and foremost at the lineup for tonight. Minus 120 for Tampa, plus 100, the underdogs for the Maple Leafs on home ice here. I imagine if Johansson gets to start, that may shift a little bit. But the total for tonight is 6, minus 120 to the over, plus 100 to the under. Let's go now to what we have. Oh, by the way, quick note. If Johansson does start, I would try to get all these 6s as fast as possible. I would be betting over 6 instantly if that's the case. Let's go here to our player props. We're going to go to a goal scorer. We're going to slide down, and unfortunate to do this. First time, actually second time this season that I've bet on the other side. We're going to bet a Nick Paul anytime goal plus 250. It's gross. It's greasy. I know it's not that fun if you're a Leafs fan, but Nick Paul seems to be a Maple Leafs killer. You know, it's like death, taxes, Josh Anderson scores against the Maple Leafs. It's effectively the same when it comes to Nick Paul. Death, taxes, Nick Paul scores against the Maple Leafs. I mean, we can't beat it. If you can't beat him, you might as well join him. Nick Paul, anytime goal, is the best bet for tonight. We're going to go a half unit on that one. That will profit you $125 on a $50 bet here tonight. Honestly, I mean, at this point, anybody, and I mean anybody, from Tampa that is from Toronto, also probably a decent look. Vasilevskiy, there you go, just comes in. Vasilevskiy placed on IR. Jonas Johansson is a projected starter against the Leafs. So there's your update on the goaltending side of things for tonight's game. That'll do it for the game preview here today. Again, our best bet, Nick Paul, anytime goal. Your major notes for the lineup here, Dennis Hildeby starts. No signs of Joseph Woll returning anytime soon here. Calle Järnkrok in for Nic Robertson. Scott Laughton is fine. Matias Maccelli was a placeholder, and Dakotas Mermis comes in for Phil Myers. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel, Leafs Nation 401 right here on YouTube. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything right here on the channel as well. I will be back tonight following the game for another edition of Leafs Nation After Dark, taking callers, talking about all the stuff we talked about with the line changes, the power play, how that goes, if the Leafs get back on track here with a win again tonight, or a win, tonight against Tampa, if they can find a way to pick up points. Like, all of this matters in the standings race in the Atlantic Division right now, as the Maple Leafs currently are actually tied with the Ottawa Senators. So points are important any way you can get them, but a win, and a win in rag, would do wonders for this team. We'll be breaking it down tonight following the game right here on this channel. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe here, Leaf Station 401. See you guys tonight. Till then, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take, Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos. Make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.